You didn't miss it. It already reached you. You just filed it under something else. A bad week. A strange conversation. A thing that finally went quiet after months. Between the 19th and the 21st, 4 of the slowest bodies in the sky locked into the same degree, the configuration astrologers are calling the Barbault Basket, and the whole internet told you to watch for it on the 20th. But a window that size does not open and shut in a day. It leans. It is still leaning right now. 4 signs stood directly underneath it. The other 8 got it sideways, through someone else, through something that gave way, which is exactly why you didn't recognize it as yours. So think about your week, not the version you'd tell someone, the real one. Something loosened, or something ended, or someone said a thing they'd been holding for a year and it came out at the wrong volume. And you called it a bad week. You called it stress, or timing, or the heat. You were awake for the only part of this that ever required you to be awake, and you talked yourself out of it in real time. Here is what was actually happening over your head. Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, 4 planets that spend years apart, that move so slowly you can watch them for a decade and see almost nothing, arrived at the same 4 degrees of their signs at the same time. Not near each other. The same degree. They formed a shape on the wheel that holds one opposition suspended in the middle, like a cradle around a tension. It is generational, not a monthly transit, not a retrograde. The first time in your life those 4 have agreed on anything, and you spent most of it on your phone. And I want to be precise about the man this is named for, because the internet has been sloppy with it. André Barbault mapped the cycles. He spent his life tracking what happens when the slow planets gather, and he died in 2019, months before the low point in his own curve turned into the year the world locked its doors. The name came after him, but his read on this configuration was not the end of the world. It was a relaunch, a crisis closing, something being handed back, which is not how it arrives. That's the part almost nobody says. A reset does not enter your life announcing itself as a gift. It arrives as loosening. The grip goes first. The thing you have been holding together with both hands. The relationship you keep explaining to your friends. The job you outgrew 2 years ago. The version of yourself you built in 2019 and never updated starts to slip. And for a moment, that does not feel like freedom. It feels like the floor going. So you grab. Everyone grabs. It is the oldest reflex there is. You reach for the old thing, you hold it tighter, you send the message that keeps it alive one more week. Not because you're weak, because a hand that's been closed for 3 years does not know how to open on command. And that single reflex, grabbing, is what keeps people standing outside the room. The whole thing was opening for them. You know exactly what you grabbed. You knew before I finished the sentence. Like this and subscribe now, because next I'm giving you the exact date the window locks, and the one sign that got hit hardest without ever appearing in the pattern. Those 4 degrees fell in Leo, Aquarius, Aries, and Gemini. If you carry anything in the early degrees of those, you got the event. The version with a before and an after you can point at, a date you'll remember. But the opposition running through the center of that cradle does not stop at 4 signs. It reaches everyone. The other 8 didn't get an event, they got a consequence. It came through a person, through a decision someone else made, through a structure they were standing on that quietly stopped holding weight. And one sign took more of it than any of the 4. Scorpio. Not because Scorpio was in the pattern, Scorpio wasn't. Scorpio was standing at a right angle to it, catching the whole Leo to Aquarius axis as pressure instead of opening. Everyone else got a door. Scorpio got squeezed. And Scorpio, of all signs, does the one thing that makes it worse: goes quiet, absorbs it, tells no one, and decides to handle it internally the way they always do. If you're a Scorpio and the last 2 weeks felt like being compressed from 2 directions at once, that's not paranoia. That's geometry. Drop your sign below. I'll tell you which one you were. Now the part I promised, and the reason this comes to you after the date instead of before it. The window did not close on the 20th, and there are 3 specific doors still standing open, and the first one is 6 days wide. July 26th. The lunar nodes change signs out of Pisces and Virgo and into Aquarius and Leo. The nodes only move like this every 18 months, and they are moving into the exact axis the basket just pried apart. What that means in plain terms: whatever loosened for you between the 19th and the 21st gets locked into its new position on the 26th. Loose becomes settled. This is your last week to decide which position it settles into. That is not a metaphor. That is a deadline. Then August. August 8th, the Lion's Gate, and 4 days later, August 12th, a total solar eclipse in Leo. Amplification, not opening. Whatever you set now gets turned up loud, and whatever you left unsaid gets much harder to say once an eclipse has moved through the sign it lives in. And then for anyone who thinks they missed the whole thing, November 29th. The Uranus and Pluto trine at the heart of that basket becomes exact a second time. The structure is not gone. It was never gone. But understand the shape of what I just gave you. One of those doors closes in 6 days, and the other one does not come back around for 4 months. Those are not the same door, and they do not cost the same to walk through. Before that, 4 things: not predictions, receipts. A conversation ended differently than those conversations usually end, and you have replayed it since. Something you had been holding together loosened, and your first move was to grab it tighter. A sentence arrived in your head fully formed. You knew every word of it, and you decided it wasn't the right moment. And something you had been waiting months on went quiet, and the quiet felt like an answer. If you just went 1 for 4, the window is open. 2, it opened wide. 3 or 4, and you already knew why you clicked on this. You will not do anything about it. You'll feel the door, you'll agree with every word of this, and you'll wait for a cleaner one, a better week, a version of yourself that's more ready. And that door will come in November, in a year, in whatever the next thing is called, and you will be the same person standing in front of it, with the same hand closed around the same thing, telling yourself the timing was wrong again. The window is not what's rare. You are what's rare right now, awake, on the 13th day of knowing. So do one thing before the 26th. 1. Decide the thing you have refused to decide since the spring, or release the loop you have been running so long you've stopped noticing it's a loop. Or say the sentence, the one that arrived fully formed, that you can still recite. Not all 3. One deliberate act inside the 6 days, in the position it settles into, is a position you chose. Comment the one thing. That's how it stops being a thought. The window was never a date. Slow planets do not slam. They lean, and they take months to finish leaning, and everything that has happened to you since the 19th has been happening inside the tilt. The people who will look back on this July as the month it turned are not the ones who watched the sky on the 20th. They're the ones who noticed the grip failing, and for once did not grab. That week you called a bad week was the door coming open. It did not lock behind you. You already turned the handle, you felt it turn, and you are still standing there, hand on it, testing whether it's real. So tell me what happened in your week between the 19th and the 21st. The thing you wrote off as a coincidence. One line. I want to see how many of us are describing the exact same thing.